Welcome back to This American Ride podcast, where we talk about issues that affect you, the average American. What's up, and welcome back to This American Ride podcast. I am George. This is Bert. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just getting over a little bit of a cold.
It's been a hot minute since two of us sat here.
Yeah. Well, you know, those vacations get in the way. Yeah, man. Had a good vacation. Had a nice relaxing cruise. So I felt rejuvenated coming back, and then all of a sudden I got sick. So, but
yeah,
feeling good now.
That's how it happens sometimes, but at least you got away.
Yeah. Well, at least I didn't get sick till after we were home, because it would have sucked to
also true
get sick while we were on the trip. But yeah, I had a great trip down to the Caribbean.
Couple islands.
Hit some islands, some palm trees, lots of drinks. Ate a lot, chilled a lot, gambled a little bit.
Buffet.
Yeah, we didn't eat too much buffet, to be honest with you.
No. Cruises aren't all buffets now?
Well, there's always a buffet, like the general main, like dining, almost 24 hours, not 24 hours, but close to 24 hour, like the general one that's included is a buffet, but we kind of only hit that for breakfast and a few lunches.
Yeah.
Like dinners were all like not buffet, like restaurant style stuff.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Hit a good, hit probably the best hibachi I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really the food was amazing, and the hibachi guy was cool. He was like, they all sang there. They would like sing.
They
sang. Yeah, all these, most of them were like Filipino, and yeah, they would start singing like popular songs, and they'd be doing like banging to the beat and all that stuff, and it was really cool. It was really cool when we first got in there, and we were just getting sat down, like our guy wasn't even out yet, and all of a sudden they're singing like from like a different section of and we're all like looking, and it was like this is pretty good, like for bunch of little Filipino dudes, like they're pretty good, man. Singing, all kinds of popular songs. But yeah, it was cool. Yeah, if you wanted more rice, you had to sing "Rice, Rice, Baby."
Rice, Rice, Baby.
To get some more rice, so sang that a couple times. It was really good hibachi, and then they have a steakhouse, Cagney's, on this cruise that was really good. Had a really good steak.
Okay,
so a couple of good dinners there. Overall, yeah.
It's funny when you go away, the vacation, the hibachi, because we had really good hibachi in the DR when we were at the resort too.
Yeah.
You realize that, I don't know, I guess you get used to what's around you, but then you go out and try other stuff.
Yeah. On the cruises like this, I think, this was like a specialty dining, so you actually have to pay for it. It doesn't come with your cruise, so it's, I think they go out of their way to make those really good, do a good job with those. So
as they should, they should.
Yep. So I had a good time, nice getaway, and now we're back and trying to get in the Christmas spirit, man. But it's like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it this year. It's weird. Me and Carolyn both just kind of struggling to get the vibes up.
Trying to get jolly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't feel like we have a lot of Christmas trees up, but I feel like Stacy and I are just at the point now. We've been running so hard for so long that we're kind of reaching our breaking point right now. We need the holidays so we can just take a breath, and it's been
hopefully
it's been crazy.
You can, man. It's crazy because that's the holidays is when you Christmas and stuff, and Thanksgiving too is when you should be like kind of cutting back, chilling, and enjoying time with people, family, friends, whatever. And it seems like it's when it's like we go the hardest sometimes, like because there's just so much going on, and it kind of wears you out.
Yeah, it's a lot of what Brian and I went into last week, just the expectations, and not only like the financial expectations, but your time expectations. But like for people, some people know, who follow, some people may not know, I just moved my mom in, which in the long run is going to be a good thing for everybody. In the short term, it keeps me from running to two different houses. But like last week was the week that we did it, and we did it midweek between two of my work trips, and it was like, it was rough. But I'm happy to have her here, and someplace I can kind of keep her safe and know she's not gonna. She does wind up on the floor. She won't be there for hours because she can't reach her phone. So
yeah, no, that's good.
Tough thing, but we are drinking some libations today.
Yeah, what was this called? Because this
Man,
is really good.
I found this at where did we find this? Liquor store, I think Total Wine out in Cherry Hill. It's called Bondstone Kentucky Straight Bourbon Double Oak. I'm a
Mm.
big fan of the Woodford Double Oak. I don't think this is quite Woodford. It's not as oaky.
Is this a budget bourbon or is this expensive?
This is like
Oh
$45.
wow, that's
So
really good.
it's yeah,
I mean,
it's
for $45, this is really good.
yeah. So they have a
I need
whole
to find some of that.
they have a whole series of Bondstone. There was Bondstone Rye. There was the regular Bondstone bourbon. There was the double oak, and then there was one more that I think was maybe port barrel aged.
This was out in
Um,
Cherry Hill, you said?
yeah,
Mm,
Total Wine out in Cherry Hill.
nice.
Yeah, I think the Total Wines. It's just we're never out
The
there,
one that
you
where
know.
70 and 73 intersect?
Yeah, well, Cherry Hill Mall, like back by where,
Okay.
yeah,
Cherry Hill
but
Mall.
like where like the Guitar Center
Yeah,
and Sam Ash are, and
I
we
know what you're
happen to
talking
be,
about.
yeah, we
Yeah.
happen to be over there. And the last podcast we did with the girls, obviously, we're gonna do another one. Stacy was wanted a set of headphones that fit her better,
Yeah, those
and
headphones were
yeah, we picked up a set of headphones for her, and
nice.
we walked outside, and it was Total Wine, and we are like,
You
oh,
gotta go. Gotta hit it up.
gotta hit it.
Wonder if they have this at the one by where Carolyn works. Is that wine? That might be Wineworks.
That might be what they might have it there.
Check that out.
They're all kind of different. That one's good too, though,
And shoot, they could have it at Lumberton and at Mara Brothers. Who
and you
knows?
just never noticed it.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't check their bourbon and whiskeys that often. Usually grabbing beer and running.
I'm always looking for new stuff.
Well, this is a good one. Yeah, definitely a good one.
Howdy ho, cow. So what are we going today? What are we talking about today?
Well, before we get into what we're talking about, why don't you
Alright.
hit that button over there?
And listen to the sponsor from this podcast. What's up, everybody? I just wanted to take a minute to tell you about the sponsor of today's podcast, Legendary USA. Their selection of leather and denim jackets, vests, gloves, chaps, and riding shirts are 100% made in the USA with a lifetime warranty. Legendary USA isn't just about style, it's about quality. With American-made products and a commitment to excellence, you can trust that you're getting gear that's built to last. Legendary USA isn't just for bikers. They have a full selection of shirts, hoodies, EDC, tactical and survival gear, all made here in the USA. And here is the best part. Legendary USA is offering our listeners an exclusive deal. When you shop at legendaryusa.com and use the promo code LegendaryPod, you'll get 15% off on your first purchase. That's legendary with a D and pod for podcast. So why settle for ordinary when you can be legendary? Click that link in the description to head on over to legendaryusa.com to explore their fantastic range of products and use the promo code LegendaryPod to snag your 15% off discount today. Now back to the show, and thank you for Legendary USA for supporting this podcast.
Boom.
We're back.
Yeah, we got some good stuff on the way from Legendary too, man.
I know, man. I can't wait.
Be here soon, and we'll get to show everybody.
I gotta tell Chris, I feel like I need a Legendary hat.
Yeah,
Sit here and rock it.
definitely need a hat. But so, what are we talking about today? We're talking about a big problem.
Huge.
For some people, it's the biggest problem that we have here in the U.S., and it's been an ongoing problem, and it's gotten worse under the current regime, the current president, and that's the border crisis, and the national security issues that the border crisis is causing. Was something we've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I think it's probably something we could talk for a while about, but we kind of wanted to dig into that today.
Yeah. So I pulled some stuff here. I have a couple of I've got articles. I've even got an article from the Washington Post.
Mhm.
So
Well, it doesn't matter what liberal rag you pull up; none of them have anything good to say about the border. Really, they all. I mean, when they actually talk numbers and facts, I mean, it's not good.
not the Washington Post, New York Times.
New York Times, yeah, I saw some stuff from them too, and
So
researching
this is
this.
good. So just to give people the numbers, and this is the numbers I got are from the official numbers from the U.S. Border Patrol.
Let's see if they match what I found.
Oh man, so Last week, actually, the highest total migrant encounters for a single day ever was recorded at 12,000. 12,000 migrant encounters. Additionally, fiscal year 2023, which actually ends in October, I
Mhm.
believe, set a record for migrant encounters at the southern border with nearly 2.5 million.
Yep.
This outpaced fiscal year 22 by almost 97,000,
Mhm.
showing the crisis is worsening.
Yeah, it was up, like 60. Well, I pulled up some stuff and I had like some September numbers because I don't know. I didn't find like the most recent.
Mhm.
But I did see the yearly, and it's up like it was up like 40% from 2021, the
Mhm.
overall number, and up a whopping 100% from 2019. Who was in office in 2019? Yeah, yeah, Donald J. Trump. So it's bad, man. The numbers are insane. It's like what was the number I was looking for? There was one on here I was looking for. They're like historic highs. Like this year is a historic high,
Yeah.
and that was passing last year, which was a historic high. So the last 3 years have just been brutal. They say what, like 7 million or something like that since Biden took office.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And they don't take responsibility for it. I mean, just in January 2023. So I mean, granted, almost a year ago at this point, and what's leading into probably a lot of these numbers that we've seen increase over the year is Mexico agreed to accept expulsions of Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, in conjunction with parole programs for those nations. So Mexico basically said, "We'll accept your criminals and the people that you want out of your country. So the people that aren't good enough to live in Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua, Mexico's like, we'll take those folks, and that is obviously,
Right.
you know, contributing to this as well.
But that's like, so those are encounters, right? So
Yeah,
that's where like border patrols actually
that's what Border Patrol can report.
can report, but they also report 1.7 million gotaways, they call them.
Yeah,
So they're here, right? And that's not to mention that the ones that they have encounters with, a lot of those end up here. Like how
yeah,
many of those have they funneled in to our societies? And they're told, they got them held up at fancy hotels in New York City. So you got a big portion of the ones that they've encountered that are here.
yeah.
Then you got the 1.7 million gotaways that are obviously here.
Hmm.
And within those, they say they had 169 individuals that so far this year on that were on terrorist watch lists.
So okay, wasn't ready to go there, but I am prepared to go there.
Go for it.
Um, and
I'm
this
sure we're
is
going to be all over the place on this
yeah,
because
this is Eileen Sullivan from the New York Times. From October last year to September, officials at the southern border arrested 169 people whose names matched those on the watch list, as compared to 98 during the previous fiscal year and 15 in 2021. So from 2021 to 2023, we've gone from 15 to 169 people who we caught
oh yeah, these are just caught.
who we caught who were on a watch list. And it's just insane. So, what does a watch list mean? How do you wind up on a watch list? Um, there's a lot of ways to wind up on a watch list. I mean, one, if you are a known terrorist or suspected terrorist of the United States, you'll end up on the watch list. The Homeland Security also takes that individual and filters down the family tree and then puts the rest of the family on the watch list as well. So does that mean just because you're on the watch list, you're a terrorist? No, but there's high freaking probability. I mean, you can wind up there because for no reason.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
so the liberal thing is, well, just because they're on the watch list, no, f that. You're on a watch list.
Well, if it was a conservative on the watch list,
Yeah,
they have a different tune. Then
you know.
then you need to be burned alive, and those people get on there for nothing.
So, and this is in her article now, mind you. Um, During 2017 to 2019 fiscal years under President Donald J. Trump, a total of 11 migrants on the watch list were arrested at the southern border. So we've gone from 11 under Orange Man Bad to holy cow. I need to do the math. 270 ish to almost 300.
Hmm. I wonder. I mean, I know This is rhetorical, obviously, but I wonder why that is. What do you? What's the cause? Is it the rising temperatures?
It's global
Is it
warming.
the global warming that's causing everyone to come here?
Global warming. It's open border policies, man. It's open border policies is part of it. And we know Trump did what 450 miles of wall, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, the wall is not complete. In the areas where the wall was complete, crossings plummeted 87%. The other thing that Trump took away was Trump took away catch and release, where if we catch these people, we just send them back, right? Now with catch and
As you
release,
should.
if they catch them, they release them into the country and have them away to trial.
Yeah, they give him a phone.
They give them a phone and they give them 2K a month.
It's
That's what people don't understand. They
insane.
get more money a month for just coming to this country. They get a phone and more money a month than my mother gets who worked for this country for her entire life, Social Security.
Yeah. So before we go any deeper into this, I just wanted to talk about Article 4, Section 4 of this little book.
Woohoo.
For those that don't know, well, those that are watching, you see what this is. Those that aren't watching, just listening, this is the U.S. Constitution. This is the little book that is the end all be all of how our country is supposed to be governed.
I'm ashamed
Right?
to admit I don't have a copy and I need one.
I have a few. You can get these all over. And of course, now the lighting sucks, but it says section. Hold on. Let me get my glasses. I'm getting old. This book has some tiny writing. So, Section 4 of Article 4, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of legislature or of the executive against domestic violence. But that important part shall protect each of them against invasion.
Yeah.
Um, it's not migration. This isn't legal migrate. This isn't people trying to get away, get amnesty or whatever,
Asylum is not people
asylum.
trying to seek
It's
asylum.
it's an invasion at our border.
Yeah.
If these numbers are crossing from Russia to Ukraine, it's an invasion. So why is it not considered an invasion here? This is intentional. I don't care what anybody says. This is intentional. This is what
Mm-hmm.
Biden and the liberals want because, the next step once they're in here is to fight for them to be able to vote. Obviously,
Well, it does two things. It fights for them, one, to be able to vote, and the other thing is it gives them a problem to solve. So they didn't have really a problem to solve before. So they opened up these borders. They basically create a border problem. So now coming into the election year, you can see now they're starting to like put a few laws in place. Not that are going to have any impact, because the only thing that's going to have impact is the wall. They've talked about continuing the wall. That's been talked about in White House press conferences directly. And none of that was none of that was anywhere for the past, 2.5 years. None of it was anywhere.
yeah.
But now that like people are up in arms and the polls are coming out and people are pissed off, oh
It's the
well,
same thing that happens every 4 years.
now we'll fix it. Now we'll fix it. So
It's the same thing that happens every 4 years. It's been a solid 3 years, and this is not really related, but it goes to the idea of they just pull these things out when it's time for election season. We're about to roll into 2024.
mm-hmm.
What happens in 2024? It's going to be hot and heavy on the campaign for the 2024 election, right?
Yeah.
And something else, they'll start acting now like they care about the border, even though the last 3 years they've said there's no problem at the border. No crisis at all. If you ask any liberal politicians, something else that we haven't heard of for like 3 years will pop back up.
Yeah.
BLM.
Oh, we'll see.
No, that'll pop back up.
You think it'll pop back
every 4 years when the Democrats need votes? All of a sudden, they care about that. They haven't given a rat's ass for literally 3 years now.
I'm wondering what form it'll take. I'm wondering what form it'll take.
Well, there's always some form, but it's all the same thing. It's them pandering to the votes that they know they need.
Yeah.
But this is this is intentional. They want them in here. They're essentially buying votes is all they're doing. Because once they get them in here and they get them the ability to vote, who are they going to vote for?
Okay.
The ones that
got them the ability to
put
vote.
them up in a fancy hotel
Mhm.
in New York, or the ones that wanted to either send them back or put them in some tent city while they figured out, what's going on with them, right? Who are they going to vote for? It's no different than they did in 20. What did they do in 20? How many votes did they buy in 20? What did they do? Oh, college tuition cancellation. How
Yeah.
many idiots believe that they were going to do that, even though they had no way to do that, and it's
Without knowing the
illegal to do that.
details, without
No
knowing the
details.
details of it.
All these young people, oh shoot, I'm not gonna have to pay back all these loans I got from my
Mhm.
underwater basket weaving degree. Shoot, I'll vote for. They bought those votes. That's what they did. And as soon as they had the votes, then it was like, I mean, I have two kids in college that they're paying. We
Mhm.
didn't get any loans forgiven.
Worse yet, what people are too, they're just too ignorant to connect the dots. There's a lot of private loans out there in school, and given my family situation, I've learned a lot about student loans in the past 6 months. But there's a lot of private loans out there, i.e., Discover. And what this did was this took these people who were naive enough to think that the government was going to forgive their loans. They moved from Discover or some of these private companies and then started filing for the federal loans. So basically, not only did they bullshit people to get votes, they bullshitted people right into the federal loan system.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but the thing is now though, it's very different from when I was in college, because we're in the middle of this. We've been doing this for the last since Hannah started school 30
yeah,
years ago. There's not really any government loans for my kids.
no, not for your kids. No.
Unless you're low income or minority, there aren't any really. Like when I went, there
Hmm.
was the Stafford loan, and there was that for
Right.
normal everyday working class people.
Hmm.
But they did away with that now. They're all private loans
Well,
for.
Sally Mae is a federal loan.
Yeah, but it's not. You don't just
No, you
get
don't
that.
just get it. Yeah, you have to qualify
If your
for it.
parents make so much money, you don't get that. You don't
Nope.
qualify.
Nope.
So yeah, so it's crazy, but it's just again, it's buying votes. They're getting these people in here, and they want these people in here to vote their way. They know what they're doing. It's not an accident.
And the worst thing about it is Texas. States have rights. Texas put up the river buoy system, the border buoys. They put up the border
Mhm.
buoys, right? They have rights to defend their buoys. Then one step further, the federal government comes in and says you have to remove them.
Yeah.
People are getting hurt.
And
Well,
not only that, but they have, federal agents coming in there and like literally cutting like fencing.
oh yeah,
Like there's video of it. They come in and they cut the fencing and let them in.
because they want to
Like
get hurt on the barbed wire.
but that's the whole point. A
Well,
freaking
I
barbed
know.
wire. It's insane. It's such an orchestrated, intentional, crisis. It's drives me
All that being said,
nuts.
I think the stigma that gets attached, you know, to conservatives is that we're against immigration.
Yeah, and
I'm not.
and brown people.
There you
No, I
go.
mean that's it. Like
Right.
if you're against the southern border, like you hate Mexicans. Well, you know what? The last thing I'm worried about with the
Hmm.
southern border is Mexicans coming here.
Yeah,
They're not the ones coming here.
they're not.
They're just coming through Mexico. I don't think so many people don't understand that, and I wish people would take the time to really get their head out of CNN and figure it out. Like, it ain't
Hmm.
Mexicans that are the problem.
I mean, there's obviously there's some Mexicans that are
Of
coming
course,
across.
there's
Obviously,
some,
the
but
cartels
they're
the
they're not
cartels are the
creating
bigger border issue, right? And they are mostly Mexican run cartels.
right. But
But
I'm talking about the people that are coming up through
y-
11 different countries to get here.
yes.
Okay, and what are those? Those are people. There's Africans, right? There's all these people from Nigeria. Then you got
Hmm.
you have even bigger issue is now these Chinese nationals.
Yep.
This is now we're talking. It's just not immigration now. It's national security.
Military age men from the Middle
Military
East.
aged men. You got Iranians,
Hmm.
getting caught. You got this big group of Chinese nationals that just
Hmm.
got busted recently, and these are the ones that are caught, right?
Right.
And you saw the video of them all, military aged, hair clean cut,
No women.
right?
No
They
children.
haven't been traveling for months, like walking. They're and this one just happened like a week after the Chinese president,
Hmm.
communist president, was here to visit. That scumbag in California and our president, and then all of a sudden there's Chinese nationals who they said some they know for a fact were in the Chinese military.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Hmm.
I don't believe in coincidences.
No.
That's not a coincidence. I think China knows how weak we are right now as far as our our president and
We're
and the
divided,
and the people.
and they know we're divided.
Yeah, and they're just slipping soldiers in right under our nose.
So they've already bought land for them. So
Yeah. Well,
that's a whole nother story.
they have, and it's good to see at least some states are fighting back against that. You know, like Arkansas and South Dakota and stuff are fighting against that.
Yeah.
Heck, man, I'll tell you what. I don't know what got into uh, Sloth's Wheaties, their Fetterman, but he's been saying things lately that I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, what the? Even he said this about the Chinese owning land, and he's said thing, and obviously it's probably I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is he Jewish?
I don't know what Fetterman is.
But he's been, on the attack against the Democrats and this whole anti-Semitism stuff that's going on around here. So like he's been like that big dumb idiot's been saying things that are somewhat intelligent. That's kind of scary.
Somewhat intelligent. Listen, man, he's bringing sweatpants to the Capitol. He's revolutionary, that guy.
Can't.
Absolutely brutal. But I mean, you're right. It's a lot of military age men. It's just I don't know, it just doesn't sit well. And I'm all for immigration. I'm all for people coming here. My my ancestors came here, but they didn't come here and get put up on a system. They came here and they worked and they figured it out. And if they didn't have the money to do that, that was, it was what it was. You stayed in a boarding house. You stayed, someplace. You didn't get a monthly stipend when you came to the US
Right.
around the turn of the century when we had a huge immigration inload. And there was tension over immigration then. There was don't, don't mistake the fact that, when the US was growing hands over fists with immigrants that there wasn't immigration tension.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of discrimination.
Of course.
I mean, you have a sign in your bathroom that I chuckle
Yeah.
all the time. And when is that from? Early or 18? I think maybe the 1800s.
I forget the date.
It's a newspaper clipping, but it says no Irish help wanted, no Irish need apply.
Yeah.
People don't think about that stuff. Italians were called wops.
Now people think I'm
Yeah.
racist. I have Irish in me, so it's just an interesting old piece that my wife liked. Yeah, and I think and way worse back then. I think at this point, in this stage of the game, I think like 99.5% of people would totally prefer and are cool with legal immigration.
Absolutely.
We'll take that all day, every day over what's going on, you know. But there's got to be some vetting process, and the people that we're allowing to come here and be citizens should bring something to the table. You don't just come and be a citizen and go right onto welfare. Like you should have something to offer.
Whether it's skilled labor or whether it's unskilled laborers. Unskilled laborers are needed.
Right.
I mean, we live in a migrant community. I mean, kind of. It's weird calling it a migrant community, but just south of us are some of the largest blueberry production in the country.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Some of the largest cranberry production in the country. Mm-hmm. Farms need people to do that.
Yeah.
And Americans aren't going to go out there in those fields. And
yeah.
I mean,
you can't even get Americans to go into an office right now, let alone in a freaking field and pick blueberries.
So who's going to do that? And that's part of the argument. And I'm all for that. But I think where the line gets blurred is people think what's going on at the border is people coming over here to do that. And
all those 7 million people are here to do that.
It is not the case.
Yeah, not at all. Not even close.
It is not the case.
If you believe that, you're completely clueless. And you're probably not listening to us if you believe that. But.
And we're talking 270 plus known people on a watch list. How many terrorists changed the world on 9/11 2001?
Yeah,
do you know how many?
I forget that it was 11.
19.
19. A lot.
All right. So 3 planes of 5 and 1 plane of 4.
Yeah, and I guarantee you the number that's gotten in is that didn't get caught is drastically more than that number of the ones that got caught.
Think about out of 270. Do you think there aren't 19 people here who are legitimately organized and come bring us harm? Director of the FBI yesterday, Director of Homeland Security, not the FBI, on the Hill saying the threats have been more frequent and higher and more intense since October 7th, which, in case you're living in a cave or under a rock, that's the day that Hamas invaded Israel. All right. Since October 11th in the U.S., since they have been since the Department of Homeland Security has been monitoring threats.
Mm.
We created the Department of Homeland Security because of 9/11.
Another worthless organization.
Yeah, I mean, at least they keep numbers and statistics. I mean, I don't know if they're
Sweet.
I don't know.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I also saw a stat though. It said that out of all those people that they've had encounters with, there's over 35,000 that were that had previous convictions of criminal convictions. So what does that mean? Well, that kind of means guess who was right? Guess who caught heat for saying it, but was 100% right?
100%
Trump.
right. We
Told
know.
you it's not, they're not sending us their best and brightest. A lot of these people coming across the border are criminals, gang members. They had, what was the number? Like 598 gang members, 178 of them MS-13. Those are criminals. If you're an MS-13, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
All right. So again, he caught all this heat for saying that, but he was really just stating the facts and the obvious that anybody with a brain can understand. They try to say, oh, well, he says everybody coming here is a rapist. No, that's not what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that is what's coming here. A lot of it is what's coming here.
Yeah.
And everybody got their panties in a bunch because Orange Man bad.
Listen, if you are, a citizen of another country and you are making a living, you are not going to come to the U.S. via the southern border.
Mm-mm.
I mean, let's be honest. My great grandmother, she had a couple of bucks. She didn't come to the U.S. via freaking Ellis Island. That's what people think.
Yeah.
But she came over here on a cruise, on a boat. They slept in a stateroom and they unloaded in New York, probably at Pier 12, which is where, obviously, a little known fact, where most immigrants were unloaded, which was Pier 12. But that's how people came here. So if you are, the ability to make a living, you are not crawling across that southern border. You're not.
Yeah, no.
Could you imagine if people today set up, if we had an Ellis Island set up,
Oh
like,
my gosh,
where it was like we denied people because they were sick, or we turned people around because and put them on a boat. That's why Ellis Island was an island, right? That's why they filled all that landfill in and made it an island. So you weren't on the mainland.
yeah.
You were swimming.
Yeah.
And they would put you right back on a boat and send you right the hell back from where you came from.
And why is that a problem?
People now would freak out.
Why is that a problem?
Every country would do that.
Well, the funny thing is, all the things that conservatives want to do with our immigration and our border security, every other country does. We are the only country that catches heat for doing these things.
Well, we catch heat from ourselves.
Yes, I mean,
That's
like
what I'm saying.
from within.
It's not from other countries.
Our liberal politicians and citizens freak out about these things, and every single other country is doing these things to protect their borders.
Yeah.
All of them. You can't just what just happened a few years back with the Marine that wandered into Mexico? What happened to him?
I don't know.
Did they bring him in? And he was in jail for a long time. I think Trump helped get him out.
Oh, I remember that one.
And I don't know his whole story, and I don't know like why he was there, but the bottom line was he wandered into Mexico, went into Mexico illegally. They didn't grab him, put him up in a hotel. He went to jail. He sat in a jail until our politicians could get him out.
Can we talk about your people from Poland for a minute?
What about people from Poland?
They don't even hide it. Don't come here.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. I should go there.
Don't come here.
Take my Polish thumb.
Because this is our policy, and this is why it's our policy. We don't have it here.
We don't have it here. We don't have crime here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, man.
I mean, I'm sure they have crime and all this stuff. And the other thing I learned,
I'm talking levels that are meaningful.
Yeah,
there's crime everywhere, but
But the other thing that's interesting is, and people talk about the U.S. with police, and I have a whole other thing in podcast that I want to do in police, and we're going to bring somebody in for that. But the amount of police in Europe per capita versus the amount of police in America is like tenfold. They have so many more police than we do, so many more. And I'll dig up the exact numbers, but when we do that podcast, but people are going to be shocked at the amount of police per population per capita in some of the EU countries.
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought they had less.
I was shocked when I read it, but
I'm not surprised after
we'll get that.
The recent years where we cut budgets and made police feel like criminals, and they're leaving and quitting and retiring early and all that stuff because they don't want to be any part of it. Like, I'm not surprised about that, but I'm kind of surprised that the numbers are more.
Look at places like Bermuda. right?
Okay.
Look at Bermuda. It's a British territory,
Right.
right? We have China here coming, buying up farmland, buying up land.
Mm-hmm.
Can you and I go to Bermuda and buy land? The answer is no.
No. I think that's like
That's
not
no.
everywhere, but I know we can't go over and buy land in China.
No, and we can't go to the British Virgin Islands and buy land where you just were.
And I'm pretty sure there's like no circumstances that would even allow us to become citizens of China.
Also, if you were to buy land in China, the people who do own land in China, technically not their land. The government can take it
The
anytime.
government owns everything over there. They
Yeah,
regulate, they own all the businesses, everything. Everything's
whole another story.
yeah. But I mean, China hates us. So I mean, it's not far fetched to think that if they see
They hate us, but they kind of need us.
no, they hate us, they want to destroy us and take our country.
I still think they need us.
I don't think they need us. Maybe they
They need
do,
us to buy their cheap shit,
but the whole world buying their cheap shit.
buy their Amazon shit.
Um, but I mean, what better opportunity like than to just slip people in a completely unsecured border and just have
Yeah,
them here, ready and willing when needed. I
ready to
mean, is
go.
that really that far fetched? Was that not something we worried about back in the Cold War with Russians,
Ah,
right? And Russian spies and Russian operatives being here?
was it Truman? Was it Truman? Who was
Maybe I
the
don't know.
was it?
My history's not that great, but
Yeah,
was,
I mean, you were a commie. They arrested you. They accused
sucks.
you. They accused you of being a commie. They arrested you. You didn't have to be a commie.
Yeah. I mean,
And now we have commies on the hill. Imagine.
there's
We,
so
we
many
come
things
full
we did
circle.
in the past as a nation that like people nowadays are like just so horrified by. And I'm like, I think we should still be doing it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, that's why we were safe. That's why we were the most powerful nation on the planet. And because, we did things that weren't always, you know, all, warm and fuzzy, but, you do what you have to do to defend your nation.
You do. And I feel like we're at a point now where they've been breaking this nation down for about 70 years. And, not that I feel not that and not that I'm facts. I think facts are facts, and I guess theory is theory. But not that I am against women in the workforce in any way, shape, or form. So I don't want this to come off that
Uh-oh.
way. Not that I'm against any of that, but when women entered the workforce full time, the government. I feel this, and this is my theory, and this all goes into me feeling how they broke down the country.
Hmm.
um, I don't think it was for the betterment of women. It was for the betterment of the government so they could collect more revenue.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
that's my theory. Prove me wrong. And by
and that began the downfall of like the family unit,
and that began the downfall of the family unit. And that
which they like that too.
which that put us, and I think the consequence of two working parents is what broke down family dinners, the family unit,
Hmm.
the discipline of education, the discipline of going to church.
Yeah.
All of that broke down with two parents
Absolutely.
working. And when you separate, when you separate church from the family, and when you separate the family, you separate the values and also the values of the country. And that's how we are kind of where we're at today.
Yeah. Well, there's no way that you can continue to have an influx of migrants, people immigrating here from nations that historically don't like the U.S. and have them flood in here over years, over years, over years, and then think that you're not going to have, this division within the nation, and you're not going to start breaking down the original values of that country because now you got people there that don't have those values, never had those values, and they hate those values.
Yeah.
So now they're here. Now they're, running for office. We got freaking basically terrorist sympathizers that are in Congress and senators.
Listen, worse yet, Omar. What people don't know about Omar, and who is the other one? I forget the name of the other one. The other
Elon
pro-Palestinian one.
Omar.
Um,
I forget the
people
name of the
people
other
don't
one.
people don't realize about Omar is they're never going to vote her out of that district. The only way Omar leaves that district is if they run another Muslim, because her district is like 80% Muslim.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting in there.
Right.
The only way for them to do anything with her is to throw
That's
her
in
out.
Michigan, right?
Is to throw her out of Congress. I think she's in Minnesota. The other one's
They're
from
bad
Michigan.
too. Yeah.
So the only way for them to get her off the hill is for them to throw her out of Congress. But then what? Then what? You
That's
know what?
insane.
So they're going to put somebody else in. The only way they don't put somebody else in is if they redistrict her district, which believe me, they have done, because they have done that to conservatives
Oh yeah,
is it North or South Carolina. They've done it, and
yeah,
I think Virginia is about to redistrict so that they can get somebody out who they don't want on the Hill. People don't realize that's how they do that. The only way for them to get her out of there is for them to redistrict her district. Like,
yeah.
it's the
I
only
don't
way,
know.
because right now she'll never get voted out,
No,
and she's a terrorist.
yeah, terrorists, anti-Semites. It's okay when you're on the left.
I remember when there was a day when the drunk Mel Gibson got arrested over on the PCH, and he rambled all this anti-Semitic stuff because he was like drunk and high. Remember that when that
Yeah,
happened? And man, they just basted him over the coals like it
yeah.
was a different time then. You couldn't do that. And
Well, you still can. Just depends on who you are.
now these people are.
Just depends who you are.
You work at Harvard, it's
And
okay.
and you just saw this whole thing in Israel just really, really shined a light on it, and how this works, man. All these pro-Palestine, anti-Israel people, and you just see how many people are anti-Semitic. But it again, like they have a reason to be, so it's okay. But if it's a conservative doing that or a Republican doing that, you'd get freaking, dragged through the coals. But
Not
it's
okay.
so
It's
frustrating.
not okay to hate anybody like
It's
that.
so frustrating. Listen, this is off topic, but I need to talk to Wawa.
Oh, this is some bullshit
Listen,
with Wawa, dude.
Listen, Wawa. If anybody from Wawa works at Wawa, knows someone at Wawa, you got to get this crap figured out, man. What the F is with the iced tea? Where is the diet half and half?
Yeah.
Okay. You got regular diet and you got the diet half and half in the small bottles.
I've been cutting my own with lemonade.
But why the hell is there no more diet half and half in these jugs?
Damn. Mm-hmm. I think it was just you and I buying it.
Dude, there's no way. I hate the regular diet, and I don't like the half and half regular.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
For me, it's too much sugar. I can't even drink it.
It's you're killing me. There's no excuse. It's not that you're not making the diet half and half. It's there in the tiny bottles, but I'm not buying your 2 bottles for $4. Killing me. I know it's off topic, but this has been a thorn in my side for about a year. Actually, this started with COVID, and then they were out forever, and then all of a sudden they came back, and then they were out forever, and then it came back, and now it's just been out forever, and it feels like they're not coming back.
You and I were buying like 5 and 6 jugs of it.
Yeah,
at a time
if I see it right now, I'm going to buy everything in the store and just take it home, put it in the fridge. Very aggravating, Wawa. Your stirs and your freaking crappy lids on your coffee cups, man. Wawa's. It's not the Wawa of the 90s, man.
No.
Very disappointed. Their sandwiches aren't as good. Nothing's as good as it was at Wawa. They went too mainstream. They got too big, and everything's like, remember when they used to freaking
Cut their own
cut the meat? You'd order a sandwich, they cut it there. Everything was fresh. The bread was the Amorosa rolls. They were freaking amazing.
Yep.
Now they're doing their own rolls. They suck. They all taste like they're freaking stale.
So we hired this guy from Wisconsin. All right.
He must like casseroles.
Like casseroles from Wisconsin. We hired Bob from Wisconsin. And I'm sure Bob's listening to this too because he's a patriot.
Okay.
And him and I were just in we were in Arkansas this past week for work, and we were just talking about chains and stuff like that. And he's like, Jersey Mike's. I love Jersey Mike's. I'm like, it's terrible.
Jersey Mike's.
And he's like, what do you mean it's terrible? I'm like, it used to be good because there were 2 Jersey Mike's down the shore, and one of them that I used to go to, and they would make like a turkey hoagie, and it was like they were cutting their own turkey, and they were like shaving turkey breast, and it was like paper thin, and it would go on a good roll because they used Amorosa rolls like back in the day, like everybody around Philly. And
so good.
I got so excited when a Jersey Mike's popped up in North Jersey. I'm like, holy crap, they franchised this. Terrible. Salty, thick cut cold cuts that have been pre-cut. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? Wawa's same thing. I don't buy their hoagies anymore.
Listen, if you're listening, I know this has nothing to do with the border, but this is important stuff. So we also have to tackle as many issues as we can in a podcast. When we were in high school, man, Wawa hoagies were the bomb, and they were until we got into probably the 2000s. And then they just, they got
Spiraled.
big. They started, opening Wawas down the East Coast in Florida and stuff. Which I'm happy that they're in Florida because when I move there, I'll have a Wawa. But they're just they went mainstream, and they try to streamline everything, make things cheaper. They don't cut their own meat anymore. They they make their own rolls, and it's so
Yeah, they
bad.
tried to be Subway.
It's so bad. Subway roll is, I don't like Subway, but their bread's way better.
Yeah.
You know, they gone down. So have you had the pizza?
No,
I
but
had the pizza. So, well, I had it the first time I ever had it. And this is funny because I got this one night. Me and Carolyn got the pizza.
you and
And
Stacy too.
well, hold on, hold on,
That
hold
was
on.
before that.
Yeah, no. So we got the pizza, and I'm eating this pizza, and I'm talking about it like it's the first time I ever had it. Like, it's not that bad. It's all right. Well, she's like, you had this already, right? And I'm like, no, this is my first. You had it. You sat and ate it on the trash can of the Wawa. Well, yeah, because I was tuned up. That was the night after we went out to the whiskey bar, and we stopped on the way home, and I bought a pizza. And I probably housed the whole thing. I think Stacy might have had some, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I did have it already. It's not terrible, man. It's not. Obviously, we're from Jersey, and we got Jersey and New York pizza, so obviously it doesn't compare. But
It's worse than Papa John's.
how do you say that? You haven't had it,
I've had Papa John's,
but you said you haven't had Wawa's.
but I wouldn't even. I was just smelling that stuff. It just looks terrible. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't think again.
Well, again, three of you tried it that night. Nobody liked it.
No, I did not like it.
No, you liked it?
No, and then I had it again, and I liked it. Now, what happened was, so here, I don't know if I told you this, or I don't know if I told you our Thanksgiving nightmare story.
I think I heard.
So, so we had no plans to do anything on Thanksgiving because we were leaving like literally at 2 a.m. that night, like the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we did our Thanksgiving with Carolyn's family on Wednesday. So Thursday we were doing nothing. No one was home. It was me and her. I was going to watch football. We were going to pack for the cruise, and then we were going to get some Chinese because she checked it out, and the Chinese would be open.
Wah, wah, wah.
Man, it rolls around time to get food. I'm like, you ready to order? She's like, yeah. We go to order. They're closed. Man. I mean, they were open on Christmas on A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm. That was Thanksgiving.
No, it was Christmas.
That was Thanksgiving. They had the.
It was Christmas,
was
bro.
it Christmas?
The whole story revolves around Christmas Day.
Oh.
And then, yeah, it was Christmas. So it was a Christmas story.
Yeah, but I thought she screwed up the turkey on Thanksgiving. Okay.
No, they were making turkey for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Anyhow.
so they're closed. Everything's closed. So here we are on freaking Thanksgiving. Her and I run out to Wawa to get Thanksgiving dinner. And nothing was like exciting me. So I freaking ordered the pizza. But when I went to order the pizza, they popped up as a suggestion to order their garlic crust for the pizza. I'm like, all right, I'll try this. It's something new they got. Oh, it was god awful. It was so bad. It had the weirdest taste to it. Like she tried to bite. She was like, "Oh, this is terrible." And that's what I had. Like I had a god awful Wawa garlic crusted pizza on. I didn't eat very much of it, but I'm like, I'm not throwing it away. I pay for it, so I had it in I shoved the leftovers in like a plastic Ziploc, and I took it in the car with us on the road trip down to Florida. And then I ate one slice in the car, and I was like, it's still god awful, even cold. So we had it in the hotel with us the night before we get on the cruise. She's like, you're not taking this on the ship with us. I'm like, no, you can just leave it here in the hotel room. It was so, I'm like, I didn't think the pizza was horrible. Like if you it's compared to like a frozen pizza, right? I eat frozen pizzas. I do. People eat frozen pizzas. It's not, if you're, it depends on where your expectations are, right? Like it's not real pizza, but it's, I think I've said this a million times that, pizza's like sex. Bad sex is good. So, I'll eat at Elio's, for lunch, whatever. So anyway, we're so far off topic.
Hold on. I'm going to reel this back in because there's an aspect.
You got more stats?
There's an aspect of the border that we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Because we've talked numbers, we've talked immigrants, we've talked we've talked people on the watch list. Cartels are a whole nother subject. and I know lots of people
Mm.
have done podcasts on cartels. And I don't know enough about cartels to go into them. But what I did pull from the United States Border Patrol office right off of their official website is the amount of drugs that were seized fiscal year 2023.
Fentanyl,
Fentanyl, 27,000
over
pounds.
27,000 pounds of fentanyl
That's like
seized.
$400
That's
million.
only what they've seized.
That's what they got.
Also, it said, because I probably pulled the same stat, enough
Mhm.
to kill 6 billion people.
Yeah,
That amount of
that amount
fentanyl.
of fentanyl that they seized. That's what
And
they
we're
got
we're clearly having a drug crisis
here in America.
in America.
So, oddly enough, 2021, 11.2K. 2022, 14.7K. 2020,
14.7K what?
1,000 pounds
Pounds.
of
Okay.
fentanyl. Up to 2023, 27,000 pounds
Yeah, man.
of fentanyl.
You would think that those numbers alone are enough to lock that shit down.
It's insane to me.
It's just killing young Americans left
Insane to me.
and right. You would think that number alone, forget everything else that we've talked about today. You think that alone would be enough to make it the
Mhm.
top priority of our government.
And to show you the priority, of of people with the fentanyl, that fentanyl number has more than doubled, right? Like 250% up,
Right.
right? The marijuana numbers, although much larger in 2021, 319,000 pounds of marijuana, down to 2023, 150,000 pounds of marijuana. So cut in half the marijuana that was seized. And I don't know if that is
Because there's no money in that.
there's right. There's no money in that. Mhm.
And the other thing is not just
Mhm.
cartels, but a lot of this fentanyl that comes in is also Chinese
Yeah,
fentanyl.
and that goes back into the
That
Chinese.
goes back into another way that they see an opportunity to destroy our country.
So
It's crazy, man. It's
holy shit, man! 27 was $400 million, enough to kill 6 billion people, is what they seized. That's
yeah.
just what they seized. That's not
Yeah.
what
I
made it
mean,
in.
there's probably 10 times that made it in, if
And
not more.
and what do you think the street deaths are in, mind you, liberal cities like Chicago, like New York,
Mm.
like Philadelphia right now, that are just basically open season with gun violence? How much of that do you think is linked to that fentanyl that came across that border?
Man.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fueling the entire thing.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's the gas of the machine.
It's crazy.
That's nuts.
It is nuts. I don't even know. Boggles it boggles my mind how first of all, it boggles my mind how many people do drugs. Because I mean, I'll go on record as saying I don't have a ton of sympathy for people that get into drugs and then die.
Yeah, it's
I
funny
mean,
that
there's no secret, right? We had how many years of the war on drugs, that Reagan and Nancy started. Um, the war on drugs, just say no. Like, how long have we been talking about what drugs do? Just say no. Like, there's no one out there that doesn't know that they're bad. We still have so many people willing to do them.
yeah,
And I find it, and I know it's like unchristian to like not like feel sympathy, but I don't feel a lot of sympathy for people that do it and then end up in these nightmarish situations, these walking zombies in these liberal cities in the streets, homeless, lost your whole family, lost everything you ever had, and you're living for your next fix. Like, it's hard for me to have sympathy, but I mean, we as a nation could like do something about that.
we certainly can.
If
And,
it wasn't so easily available.
and not to segue into a future episode, but I've already started doing research on homeless stuff because, and we can go into this on the thing, but on the next on a different, maybe not the next one, but a different one. I feel like we don't have a homelessness problem in this country. We have a mental illness problem that is fed by substance abuse.
Oh yeah.
That is what leads to our homelessness.
Yeah.
People aren't homeless because they can't. A lot of people aren't homeless not just because they obviously they can't pay their bills, but they can't pay their bills because whether they have untreated mental illness and they wound up on drugs, or whether they wound up on drugs that has enhanced a mental illness or uncovered a mental illness, which does happen, and then they wound up, homeless. And that is something that other countries can work with. Countries like Denmark are like leading the charge in this, um, in systems of getting people back on their feet to be productive members of society, which is really the end goal, right? I mean, you just
I
want people to be
guess.
productive. You want people. I mean, you want people to be part of society and produce and make society better, and you know not, instead of being a burden to society, be a productive member of society. I mean, that's the whole thing. But it's that's all driven by this border.
Yeah.
It's all driven by what is freely coming across.
Yeah. It is.
You
Like I
know?
said, I mean, of all the national security issues and stuff, like if you don't care about that, like okay, whatever, you're weird. But I mean, this alone, like just American people dying by the droves daily because of this stuff.
Mhm.
You would think, as a nation, as the leaders of a nation, that's enough to like just say we're done and lock it down. But
Yeah.
they don't care.
And
They
I
don't care.
I think about the parent who sends their kids to school, who the kid gets to college, takes a hit of a joint's laced with fentanyl,
Yeah.
bang, they're done.
And that's the
Eh,
scary thing,
eh,
right?
eh,
Because I think most people, maybe not most people, a lot of people now have really kind of relaxed their opinion on marijuana
Yeah.
over the years here in the United States, right? Like we don't really think of it as that big of a deal. Most of us. I mean, a lot of people still think it's horrible, and I'm not going to knock them. They're probably right, but we've relaxed our stance on that. But and that's all. And that's all it takes. Like you're not even like doing meth or cocaine or
Mm-mm.
heroin, right? Like you take
Mm-mm.
a hit of a joint and it's laced with that, and you're dead.
Done.
Crazy,
Yeah. Can
crazy.
definitely, it has happened,
But I do feel like the majority of people that end up homeless zombies on the street, it's not because they took a hit of a joint.
no.
They've made conscious decisions
Mhm.
to really dive into that world, and
It's
it's completely avoidable and it's crazy.
it's a tough gig, but I feel like, instead of, and again, this ties into this, and instead of worrying so much about these people that are crossing this border illegally, if we worried more about our own people that are here in this country, and we're able to put the resources towards our own citizens, we'd be a much better place, instead
We
of
send money to buttloads of foreign nations for them to secure their borders.
Oh yeah.
Like we send money to Jordan for them to have their big border
Mhm.
wall. Like all like we're as the liberal politicians are completely fine with sending money to all these other nations for them to secure their borders, but our
Mhm.
borders can go f themselves.
Yeah.
It's
What do you think Ukraine money would
it's
do
so
to
mind-boggling. We're still
to
giving this little. So here, I posted something about this. Like
I saw.
maybe I'm wrong, but has anybody seen anything as far as like any kind of current up to date video clips of actual fighting going on over there?
I don't even know what's going on over
I
there.
feel like there's not even any fighting going on.
I don't know.
I feel like we're just sending them money to launder it and send it back to Hunter Biden. Like I don't what is going on? Like they're acting like if we don't keep sending them money, they're gonna. I haven't seen a single thing anywhere about like actual fighting that's going on.
I
Am,
feel
am I just missing it?
I
I mean, if I am, tell me. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but I don't see anything going on.
I feel like early on you were seeing a lot of TikToks, and you were seeing a lot of stuff from Kyiv, where missiles were coming in, all this stuff was going. You saw a lot of stuff on social media.
Hmm.
Social media hasn't changed, but the content coming out of there certainly has.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
only content I've seen in the last man almost 6 months
Mhm.
out of Ukraine is like their nightlife and how they're all living it up and partying and having a great time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, they don't look like a nation, being just destroyed by war. They
Yep.
they look like they're having a good time, probably
Uh,
because they have boatloads of money
uh,
because we gave it to them.
oh my
They're
god.
just chilling off the backs of American workers. I'm
Well,
sick of it, man. I'm so sick of it. There shouldn't be a dime going anywhere else with all the problems we have here.
yep.
Not a dime. And we're in debt to China,
Yep.
but we have money to give other nations. Somebody make it make sense.
Yeah. And that's
Somebody make it make sense to me. We are in debt. What is our deficit? How
Oh,
does somebody who's in the trillions of dollars in deficit, how do you have a dime to give someone else?
yeah, it's what we have is unrecoverable at this point.
It's it makes zero sense, right? But they want you to balance your checkbook, and if you pay $600 on Venmo, they want to tax you for it. But how much lost money do we have from our government? How much money all the time do we hear about the Pentagon like lost this $300 billion and the IRS lost this? Like they can't balance a budget. Our freaking leaders and our government can't balance a checkbook, but we are expected to.
Well, that's the whole thing with Schumer, and today Speaker of the House said, we want accountability, and Ukraine doesn't even want to give accountability. They just want the money. They don't want to be accountable for the money. They don't want to prove accountability. They don't want to prove where it's going. They're just like, give it to us.
Oh, and he comes here and all these leftist scumbags are just drooling all over him,
Yeah.
getting their photo ops, hand him a big fat check, and just stiffing Americans every time. I can't believe like what it takes for Americans to now get irate and say enough is enough is just so ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
you think about the Boston Tea Party and then where we are now.
Yeah.
Like how far we've fallen
Oh,
with like what kind of crap we're willing to eat from our government.
I love the Boston Tea Party story. People don't even realize why England got so mad over that. The members of
Most
parliament.
people don't like
Most people don't know history.
99 point. I mean, and I'm no history buff, right? Like I can't like quote you dates and all this. Like I'm not a history buff by any sense of the term, but you got people now and you see it all the time. Like people on the street, like interviewing young people, like
They don't know geography.
they don't geography.
They don't know.
They don't know who fought in the Civil War. They don't know who fought in the Revolution. How could you not know the Civil War and the Revolutionary War? Or like, there's only been so many huge wars in America's history:
Yeah.
Civil War, Revolutionary War, World War One, Two,
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam. Like, there's not that many. They don't know. They can't tell you who fought in any of them. Like, they don't know. They don't. They just like we're so worried about teaching these kids about genders and all this bull crap that they have no clue. I mean,
Spanish American
and I
War.
feel like that is part. I mean, this goes hand in hand with the government and what they're trying to do. It's public education. They don't want smart citizens.
No.
It's so much easier to rule over people that are ignorant and believe whatever you tell them.
Oh yeah.
It's
And
crazy. It's scary.
Just feed it to them.
It's scary. Like I'm no genius. There are sometimes when I watch these like on the street things, some different conservatives go out and ask these kids, these young people, young adults. They're not kids; they're young adults. Half of them are college graduates for crying out loud. These basic, and there's every once in a while there's somewhere I'm like I don't totally remember, but like the basic stuff, man. You could ask a lot of these kids. This is you would think this is an exaggeration. I'm just being stupid, but you can ask a lot of these kids who like the first president of the United States are, and they don't know.
And they don't know. I saw a guy ask somebody the other day, name a country that begins with a Y. Countries begin with a Y. I think a lot of them. Yemen right now comes right to mind, right?
I don't know. Is Yugoslavia still a country?
Yugoslavia's not a country.
Not anymore,
no,
right?
No, but it did come to mind.
But I mean, if you said it, like at least you had some.
At least you had something there, right? This kid said Europe.
Europe. Sound it out, bro. Europe. Wow. They should just put that dude down. There's no way he can be a contributing member of society with that brain.
It's so tough. It's so tough. I really, I have hope.
We wonder why China's killing us.
I have hope that we have conservatives on the Hill, like Ted Cruz right now. I mean,
we don't.
Ted Cruz is leading the charge with the FBI. I mean, love him or hate him, he's leading the charge against the FBI.
Oh, I like Ted Cruz, but I just none of them. It's the problem we've had forever with conservatives is we just can't stick together.
Yeah, they can't.
And if there was any one thing, and there's really not much that I could say I admire or appreciate about liberal communist politicians, but man, did they rally together. They stick together.
They do two things. They rally together, and they play the long game.
Yeah, and we do neither.
That's right.
I mean, we spend and again, like people act like, oh, like you like Trump and you're like brainwashed, you love everything. No, like if there's one, like if I could pick the first thing I despise and hate about Trump is what he does when talking and fighting within the Republican Party, like the way he trashes and just destroys like people that he needs to work with down the line. Like you can run against the other Republicans to get the nomination without all the personal attacks and all these things that are going to make it impossible for you to work together down the line.
Oh yeah.
You can do that, and he doesn't, and I hate that about him.
Yeah, but he's not alone when he doesn't do that.
No, he's not alone. But I mean, the people act like the people that are Trump supporters are like crazy lunatics, and you love everything about Trump. Like, no, I don't like the way the things that he will say on Twitter, or X. I like them in the sense that I would say them.
But I don't think he should be saying.
But he shouldn't be saying them. He's the president, or was the president, right? Like he shouldn't be saying them. And I loved, and what all of us loved about him was that he took the fight to the liberals like no other, like real Republican, like politician was ever willing to do. And we loved that about him. But once you won, right? You took it to him. You won. Now, like everything doesn't have to be such a like freaking crazy comment on Twitter, right? Like
such a pissing contest.
It doesn't have to be so nuts all the time. Like you don't, you actually, I mean, you can be on Twitter, but you don't have to be on Twitter 15 times a day,
Yeah.
And so there are things that Trump supporters don't like about Trump, but I challenge one Biden supporter to tell me what you do like about Biden. You can't. They can't.
No, it's just a placeholder.
The only thing they like about Biden is he's not Trump.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Most people I know who voted for him because they didn't like Trump. Well, why don't you like Trump? And I can never. Well, he's a nut. And it's not stupid people that told me that. I mean, it's educated people. It's not like people with their head in the ground. He's
not a nut.
He's a nut.
He's brash.
You need to do better. Like you need to do better.
He's a little crazy at times with stuff he says, but the reality is, most of that crap that he says, most of us that support him are thinking, but it's just like he's not supposed to say it. Some of the things, I don't know. And yes, I'd like him to be a little more polished, a little more respectable once he was in office. I loved what he did to get there, but like once you're there now, like it's like, okay, be the president, and you don't need to like have petty little arguments like Bert from New Jersey would have on Twitter. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's now you're above that, and you need to be held to a little bit of a standard. So no, I don't like that about him. And there's plenty of things I can say I don't like about him, but
true.
But there's a lot of things I like too.
A lot of things I like,
including my bank account while he was the president,
and my 401k,
my
stock portfolio.
Yeah, all of that, and the price of groceries now,
my price of gas,
bro. Carolyn went to freaking the Walmart yesterday and came home. I carried like 4 bags in from the car, $380.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's fucking nuts, man.
Come on. Like I don't understand how like anybody even like what are people doing right now? Like because they're doing something. Like what are you doing to afford like Christmas?
Yeah, people are going into debt.
You know what I mean?
I think that's what people don't.
They have to be.
They're going into debt. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for anybody.
It's insane. I went to freaking Murphy's and I like was gonna buy, and I'm like buying that for that. Like I'm starting to see these prices that like, and I'm not like the big shit. Like Carolyn's like she knows what things cost and she knows what they're up, and like, and I don't really pay attention to that. Like I'm the one that always goes to Murphy's where she's been selling me for 10 years. Like they're expensive there. Whatever. I'm just getting a few things and it's convenient, it's close, and it's not crowded.
Yeah.
So I'll pay a couple extra dollars. But now I'm looking at the prices of like, how Murphy's has all like the pre-made stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Like all their prices on that pre-made stuff are up astronomically. Like I used to go in there and buy like the little thing of their seafood salad, right? And I would buy it because it was a good little snack, and it was like $2.80. Well, that same exact thing now, a couple years later, is almost like it's like $4.50. It's nuts. The cost of everything is just nuts, and it's all. I mean, you can't say, "Oh, it's not Biden." It's a freaking 100% Biden, dude. It's 100% his policies and everything he's done that's led to where we are right now. And if you say anything otherwise, you're just an idiot that's watching CNN.
Yeah,
you're an absolute idiot. I don't care. Don't ever watch this show or listen to the show again. You're an idiot if you think that Biden doesn't have a direct correlation to what we're paying at the grocery stores and at the gas pump. And oh my gosh, I just saw something that said the average cost of mortgage payments
It's
Oh,
crazy.
what was it? It was up so much. I forget what it was. It was like the average monthly payment for for a mortgage in the US went from being like $1,800 a month under Biden to now it's like 3,200,
Under Trump to
or under Trump to Biden.
yeah.
3,200. This is just the average
Yeah.
has jumped that drastically in 3 years.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, wake up.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people are I don't understand how I afford. I don't understand how anybody's affording it.
These interest rates are, I mean, yeah, these interest rates. And I think people, the screwed up thing about this, I think people not buying homes right now because of these interest rates are in a position where you're still screwing yourself, because these interest rates are never going to drop but a few points. We're never going to see, I don't think we're ever going to see the days that, that we had under Trump with these interest rates. So these interest rates are, they're going to be high. And if they drop down a few points enough that people are like, "Ooh, well, now I'll buy." Well, now other people are going to buy, and the demand, which is low now, mind you, is going to be, even the demand's even going to be higher. The demand's high now where inventory's low.
Right.
That low inventory, the demand's even going to be higher. So you're just going to be paying more for a house, even if you're paying like a point or two less interest.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, as people, you're screwed. That's why, especially, when we bought our first house, I was like, we need to buy a house that, in case something happens in this market, I don't want to be stuck in a condo. I want to be able to be in a home. So that's why I bought a home over a condo.
Ugh,
And I know. And then when we bought this next house, like the market was okay for us. Like we
This
hit,
house?
yeah, this house, we hit it at a decent time. Not it wasn't amazing, but we hit it at a decent time. And one, I could never afford this house now.
Mm.
Never in a million years could I
Yeah,
afford this
man.
house
It's
now.
nuts.
Number one, and it's just crazy of what people are paying.
Yeah, what they're going for now makes I said this 100%. I would do it, but my wife is the voice of reason. I'd sell my house in a heartbeat right now. I go live in my RV. I'll pull my RV into your yard and live here. The amount of money I could get for my house right now compared to like what you bought it for, like,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but where am I going?
South, brother. South.
Where am I going?
The South will rise again. Probably
Jesus
not,
the
but
Lord. Probably not.
no. But they got freedom down in Florida. There's a
I hear-
little thing called freedom.
I hear they have freedom in Florida.
You know,
I'm not going to Florida. You know that. You know that story.
gotta get rid of her.
Oh man,
I'm
good,
kidding.
good thing she doesn't listen this far into the podcast.
Oh, yeah, right. It's too far into this. Shut this off already. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Holy
There's
cow.
other states with freedom though.
Well, it's not hard to find.
People got to leave. People got to leave the states that are restricting them. I'm guilty. We're guilty. We live here. There's circumstances holding us here, but you got to leave, man. You got to leave and leave them holding the bag and holding their own, financial crisis and all that stuff, man. You got to leave New York. You got to leave New Jersey. You got to leave California. And I'm talking about people that are like us, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're a raging liberal lunatic, stay there and crash and burn.
Well, there are liberals that are leaving California hand over fist. I mean, that's part of the problem in Tennessee right now. It's part of the problem in Texas right now.
I read something today though that said that a lot of those California liberals are going to Idaho.
Yes, they are.
But they said, like, as of yet, like, they're not bringing their politics with them. I don't know how that's a thing, how that's possible, because they're doing it everywhere else, but they're making it sound like to this point, like, it hasn't affected, it hasn't swung blue. But I don't know how you can be. I mean, how can you be so stupid that you leave someplace because of all these this negative, which all, I mean, are you just so blind that you don't realize that it's because of liberal policy? Like, are you like, oh, California, laws and rules suck so bad, I gotta leave. But you don't realize that it's because of there's liberals in charge. And then you go somewhere else and be like, we need to bring these policies here. Like,
Yeah.
how are we that stupid as a human race?
Yeah. They're gonna last minute quick switch this guy in for fucking president too. Gavin Newsom.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what they want to do.
this guy is trying to put himself on a world stage. I mean, he's the governor of a state
He's
that's
such a
just
butt
like,
pirate.
it's terrible.
He's so bad. He's so bad.
It's terrible. It's
I don't know
just,
where I don't know where they find all these commies. It's crazy.
yeah, well, yeah, they're all related to each other. Isn't he Nancy Pelosi's nephew?
Well, the liberal they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not connected to another politician, they're like connected to some big corporate CEO that's running something huge. Like there's all kinds of ancestral disgustingness going on with them. It's crazy.
It's terrible.
I
So
think I think like literally like I answered my own question here tonight, like why I can't get in the Christmas spirit. Like this, we're just such a freaking mess that it's like hard to think about. Like, and it's wrong as a Christian. Like, I shouldn't even be like, I should be thinking about Christmas as what the real meaning is, and be easy to celebrate that. The birth of Jesus Christ. But it's just depressing. Like, we're living in a really depressing time right now. There's just a lot of problems.
it is.
There's more problems than solutions, and it's really like it weighs on. As someone who like does the social media thing and sees it constantly daily and like it gets mad about it constantly, like it just weighs on you.
Yeah, well, they're. I'm still waiting for solutions. But it's interesting, talking about getting in the Christmas spirit. We just, we moved mom in, and she went to CVS and she bought herself like a little 4-foot tree, and she wanted,
Okay.
a tree in her room.
You guys didn't have a tree for her?
And well, we have a lot of trees, just not her tree. So she wanted her
Okay. She wanted
tree.
her own tree. Gotcha. All right.
And that's important, But one of the things I was,
Did she have decorations to put on it, or
there are a few. We gotta find them.
they're here somewhere?
They're here.
Yeah.
They're here. And one of the things was I was unpacking. I unpacked her nativity set,
Okay.
which is a nativity set that she was.
They're like small, big. What is
It's pretty big. I'll show it to you
Okay.
before we leave. And it's one of those things that she got as a gift when they first got married. She got her first house, like because that was one of those things that
Okay.
that you got as a gift. Like that would be something like Stacy's mom bought her our nativity set that we have. Pretty sure she did. She did. And it's just one of those things, and I'm thinking to myself like it was always such a big part of Christmas, the nativity set, because our nativity set got set up underneath the tree. Trains went around the nativity set, but the nativity set was like always set up underneath the tree. And I feel like it's one of those things. Like I wonder how many people still set up nativity sets for
Yeah.
for
I mean, I think
Christmas
there's
holiday.
people. I
Just
think
just something like that.
I think there's people. I think they're mostly real Christians. That really are into their faith and Christianity that do it. I don't think like the average passerby or non-religious person. But I don't think really. I mean, but again, maybe that doesn't make sense because like, how religious is your mom?
She's brought up Catholic. I mean,
Okay, so
she
she
still
has the
goes like.
foundation there, and like it was instilled early. That I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, if it's not instilled early, like in children, like
It's tough.
it's tough. Like they don't have that foundation, so that much less likely that they'll be a Christian later on in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's exceptions, obviously, people who come to Christianity and didn't know anything about it as a kid, but I think that's kind of the exception to the rule.
I mean, she wants to know where we're going to church on Christmas Eve.
I know a place.
I know you do, and I'm actually thinking about going
Just
there with
saying.
her because I think that would be easy with the wheelchair and everything.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's yeah, yeah, definitely. And she has dialysis on Christmas. Now she has dialysis on Christmas Eve, and she's like, "Where are we going
Oh
to church?"
dang.
Yeah.
So what? No.
So I gotta figure out like the times and stuff. But
Wait,
yeah, I feel
wait,
like
wait, 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 wait. Christmas Eve is a Sunday, I thought.
no, no, it is not.
I thought Christmas was on Monday.
No, it is not.
Are you sure?
Is it?
We're
Maybe.
checking our phones.
Yeah.
Give us a second as we refer to the
Oh,
calendar.
Christmas Eve is a Sunday.
Yeah, bro, she don't have dialysis on a Sunday.
I don't know why we thought that. That's what she thought. Yeah.
And Christmas Day, I knew New Year's was, so yeah, Christmas
Yeah,
is always the same day as New Year's.
Christmas
Monday.
days. Oh, so sweet money.
So yeah, Christmas Eve is.
Oh, you know why she has
a
it on Christmas
Sunday?
Eve? Because she doesn't have it on Christmas Day. So she is going to have dialysis on that Sunday. They're gonna do
Oh,
dialysis on that
dang.
Sunday so that she can not have to go to dialysis on Christmas Day because they close on
Are they at
Christmas
least
Day.
gonna do it early?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I know our church has like 3 or 4 different times for Christmas service because they're pretty quick.
Yeah.
On Christmas Eve, they, get you in, get you out.
So, so yeah, if you've listened this far, and I think we'll probably have another one before Christmas.
Yeah, we should.
But if you've listened this far, find yourself a church for Christmas Eve and go.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's better than nothing. And it's, good for the soul.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, I can't speak for Catholics because I really don't know what they do, but I know normally like normal non-Catholic Christian services are kind of like, they do it on Christmas Eve, but they're not trying to keep you there all night, I know Catholic things can be like,
No, they're not as long as people think. They're
well, I've
not.
been to Catholic services.
Well, that's because you're not
I've
used
never
to
been
that.
to I've
But
never been to a Christmas Eve thing for Catholic church, but I know I've been to
Very-
services and even their weddings. Man, I can't stand up and sit down that many times.
they're very regimented. Very
Oh,
regimented.
yeah, they sure are. But no, it's if you're even remotely give a crap about what the holiday is really about, at least go Christmas Eve and have a good time. But as far as today's topic, man, if you don't think the border is an issue or a crisis, man, I challenge you to really like get your head out of the sand, stop listening to mainstream media, do your own research, use some common sense. This isn't white conservatives, hating,
Minorities are
the,
coming to
the
the country.
brown South American people coming up here, because we don't want them here in our country. It has nothing to do with that. Dig deeper. Think about the problems that we talked about tonight. Or, the issues that it causes, the national security issues it causes, the drug problems, there's just so much. Like, I think we tackled a lot. I know we bounced a lot, but that's just kind of the way we have conversations. But
It is.
but and think about sending an email to Wawa and telling them they need to get their crap together, because that's important too.
Even if you don't live here, support George and Bert. Send an email to Wawa.
Yeah,
Support
on
everywhere.
behalf of of Bert and George, just let them know they need to get their crap together because we need the diet half and half.
All right.
Yeah, good times. Good
Well,
talks tonight, man. This
yeah,
stuff,
this is good.
It's hard for some of these ones, and
Hard not to get fired up,
get
man.
pissed off and fired up. But you should be pissed off, man. You should be pissed off. This is, if you live here and you're an American citizen, the security of our nation, our sovereignty, it should be important to you. Even if you're not a white nationalist, I mean, it should still be important to you. So I hope it kind of fires you up, and I hope at some point people get fired up enough to do something about it. But even if that's just voting the right way, or doing a little more research when you do have to vote, getting the right people in office, because we're all guilty of as conservatives, voting the wrong people in that just tell us one thing and then get in there and do nothing. So that's got to change before anything's gonna get fixed.
Reelect to no one.
Yeah, we got to get some shirts made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how that would really work, but still, it sounds good.
Sounds like a better plan than we got now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the age-old problem in DC. Everybody has a great energy and cause and desire to get in there and do something, and they get in there, and then they go along to get along, scratch each other's back, and they all just enjoy getting rich and powerful and doing nothing to help any of us. Until we figure out how to fix that, we're probably going to be dealing with this issue for a long time. But
yeah,
it's a big problem. Hopefully this wasn't too depressing.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all. Yeah, man, good stuff.
Oh man,
I guess we'll see you guys on the next one. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you are watching or listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button if you have not. If you are listening on one of the podcast locations, still consider going over to YouTube and hitting that subscribe button. We're trying to get that number up. Help us out if you enjoy this. Doesn't cost you anything. So
the only way
do that.
to spread conservative stuff is to share it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The algorithms don't appreciate it.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I don't talk about this stuff on social media and on here to really change anybody's mind. My biggest thing is just wanting people that think like me to know that they're not the only ones. There's plenty of us out there. So share it, like it, subscribe to it, tell your friends, and I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Peace.